So the $1 million question is, why are you letting go of your baby?
That's the big question, right?
Yeah.
That's the question everyone's asking. Yeah. It's a hard question to answer, to be honest with you. It's been a long time coming. Earlier in 2019, I started reading a book called Present Over Perfect. I've been at this now for 11 and a half years. It's a long run.
Yeah.
In the beginning, it was a lot of running hard and just getting the industry off the ground and getting my business off the ground, simultaneously having 3 babies in 2.5 years. That was a very fast pace, and I just had a lot of time to think last year. And I had an interesting situation where I was flying by myself for the first time in 10 years, because up until now I'm flying with kids.
Yeah.
And it's like,
we know how chaotic
yes,
that
it's
can
so
be.
chaotic. And I had just uninterrupted time to completely just think and process and journal. And I started to realize that to everything there's a season. And the season to me doing this full time is coming to an end. I'm not calling it the end of a career, because who knows where life takes us, but it's definitely the end of a season. And it's hard to pinpoint one thing. I would say I'm making this decision for family reasons, even for some of my own mental health. Being on call for years upon years upon years is
takes its toll.
It takes its toll, yeah. Not to say it's not doable, and there are things you can't do to make it more sustainable, but there comes a time when that season is over. And I felt like that season was drawing to an end, which is interesting because that happened back in July of last year. So this has been in the works for us already over 6 months. And then kind of a little bit serendipitously or providentially at the end of 2019, our family felt like we were supposed to be moving back to the States, which after so long living in Cape Town, this has become my home. This is where I've had my babies and adopted my son, and moved here right after I got married. So that's really bittersweet for me to actually step away from this country. That's hard, but I'm so glad that the timing of this handover of my business was already in the works. I find that to be just so providential, and just, we both say, like, we believe in timing, that just the timing fell into place, it was right, and I was able to say yes to this next step of relocating our family.
It almost cemented your original decision to let go
exactly.
of your baby, to, that you made the right choice, because things fell into place after that.
Yeah, the easy way to say it is I'm, handing over my business and I'm moving out of the country, as if the two were coupled, but the actual decision making, it wasn't coupled. But now that I look back on how it's unfolded, it makes a lot of sense, and I have a lot of peace about it. And I have a lot of peace that you're the right person to hand this over to. And so, that's such a short answer to a really long process that I made with, much introspection, much prayer, with my husband, with my therapist. It's sad, but I'm also really proud of what I've built. I'm really proud of how it's ending. I could have just closed the doors, right, and just kind of be done with it and say, I'm sorry, I'm no longer booking, and that's the end of that. But I felt that there's a legacy here. There's a legacy to pass on, and there's still a lot of really good work that can be done by passing off to you. Which brings up the question for you: why do this? I mean, you already have an established business of your own. You're already the head of the South African Birth Photographers Association. Why take this on?
That is a good question as well. I think that a lot of people probably have on their minds. For me, it's also, again, it goes back to timing, and it goes back to how my business has grown and developed, and how my road within birth photography has developed and journeyed through, from my first birth to getting into birth photography, to getting more and more involved in South African Association for Birth Photographers here, and then having the opportunity, and the timing was right to buy over from you, and being able to just grow in the industry. I'm always continuing to grow, continuing to develop, and if you are not doing that, then you're not growing. And I think this just came at a great time for me, to step up my game, and to step up the respect levels and the decision making for the South African Birth Association as well.
Right. Mm-hmm. Something I really liked about you is that you're a long-term thinker, and you're not just looking at, like, right now. You're looking at where the industry is headed, in the long term, and you understood, like, this is a legacy thing for me, you know, that there's a lot of mutual respect between the two of us. And I mean, when we kind of serendipitously fell upon this, that I was looking for someone I could hand it over to, and when it came across that it was Kristen, there was just a lot of mutual respect there already. Which, we both felt like this is right for each one of our very individual seasons.
Exactly.
You know? And that's the thing. We each have 3 kids, but we're in totally different seasons as to what that means for our families.
Yes, and I'm just at this stage where I can take it and run with it,
right?
And where your season is to step back from it. So it paralleled very nicely, I think. And and I think I have such a great respect for what you've done over the last 12 years that it's easy to respect taking over from you and taking your baby from you, and knowing a mutual respect that, you know, I will look after it and cherish it, as well as growing it into something more than you have developed it, because
it's the 2.0 version, which can only be better. Something that I remember when I first met you, I sat down with her years ago as we were Alda Smith and I were the co-founders of the South African Birth Photographers Association, and we had approached you about helping us and coming on board, because that was a lot to carry, and now you've become the head of the association. I just remember right away meeting you, just the professionalism and the integrity you walked with. Like, that was really important to me, that I hand this over to someone, not just that's a great photographer, you know, but someone who's got a very similar ethos. And one of the things that impressed me about you, see, we're not cutting, we're just going to keep going, was that you had a real, a sense of being able to enter into people's vulnerability, and an ability to show empathy, which is so important in the birth space, because you're not just showing up with a camera, you are
more than just a photographer.
You're entering into someone's very vulnerable time, and there are some aspects to which this has shaped your story, and this allows you to be a more empathetic person. And I wonder if you wouldn't just share a little bit about that with us.
Yeah, sure. I think as humans, you know, we're born into this world, and we have to develop and grow with circumstances that come our way, and we can never guarantee what's going to happen. We can wish, we can dream, we can just envision where our lives will go, but it never turns out to be the way that you think it will. So I think something that was a game changer in my life was when I had my 2 kids, my 2 little girls. They were 1 and 3, and then my husband went to work, and we were doing everything normal, and he never came back from work that day. He was killed on his motorbike on his way home. And just 2 days before that, we found out that I was pregnant with my 3rd baby.
I cannot even imagine in the span of a week how much your life changed.
Yeah, completely shifted. And I think you go through those times, and you're just like, there were weeks where all I could think about was, how was I supposed to get through this? Like, how am I supposed to do this? How am I supposed to carry a baby and grow a baby inside of me and deal with the loss, and then still have a 1 and a 3-year-old that's
just
also
demanding
grieving, and they're going through all their own changes as well because of this, as well as just everything. And so that was a big shift in terms of having to pick yourself up from such a dark place and such a challenging place. And I think through that process and through that darkness, you do get shaped and formed and developed. And either you can turn cold, or you can turn and accept the vulnerability that you were in, the vulnerable stage, the depths of darkness that you've come from, and to sort of crawl your way out of that. And I think that that's something that, no matter, even if we try to get rid of it, it's always going to be in our souls. Like, so when I walk into a birth and I'm with clients and they're going through this incredibly life-changing moment, I can relate to just a life-changing moment, whether it be loss or growth or adding or taking away. You know, you're still reaching parts of your heart and your soul that some people never get to until they're 90.
Right.
So it was just something that had happened to me. I was 27 when I was a widow with 3 kids, you know.
I have so much respect for your story, and I know that this isn't like what something we've gone through is defining, but it isn't the whole of who we are. Like,
yes.
I know this isn't the whole of your narrative,
but
I have so much respect for your story and for how capable you are, that, you know, like to have to build a business after that and engage in really vulnerable moments and bring your wholehearted self. I just, and be a single parent. I mean, I've always said on social media, like, I have so much respect for single parents and what that entails. And so, I'm just really, I'm really proud to be working with you.
Thank you.
And learning a lot from you in this process, even though I'm the one that's supposed to be teaching you a ton. So that's something we wanted to share, is that I've already been in the process of teaching her everything that I know. So I am pulling back all of the curtain and just fully kind of dumping my brain and my years of experience into you, and you now coupling that with your already built skill set. And I'm probably not going to be doing that for several years. I am just stepping back from teaching that, so I won't be consulting or anything. You're the one person that I'm going to be doing this with, and we're going to do this process now for a few more months to come.
I mean, we've been working at it for the last 6 months or so, and we'll continue for another 6 months. So just something that we've been working on behind the scenes, and it's again just exciting to be able to share that with all of you again. And just in terms of the social media and stuff, you know, you won't be disappearing off of social media. You'll be on there.
I'm going to keep my handles so that I'm still there.
So Marysol will still be there, and I'll be on my Yellow Lemon handles, and we will exchange and just be on one another's platforms, just so that you always know where to find either of us for anything. But keep following and keep watching everything as it develops.